Hi, Keith here from Academy of Bass. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm looking at Fretless Bass. The bass player is Pino Palladino. The song that I'm using as a reference features one of the most iconic fretless bass lines in recorded history, and perhaps one of the most beautifully melodic lines that you'll hear. It catapulted the fretless bass into the forefront of popular music and made it a sound that lots of artists craved in their own songs. And it was the springboard to Pino's illustrious career. The song I'm going to be making reference to is Wherever I Lay My Hat by Paul Young. If you don't remember the bass line or you've never heard it, it sounds something like this. Now, this isn't a lesson about that bass line or how to play it. It's much more about the chords and how to play melodic fretless bass lines over them. And if you stick around until the end of the lesson, there's a little bonus, because I've had a lot of questions about the fretless bass line that I use in the opening sequence to some of these lessons. So I'm going to show you that really quickly at the end of this lesson. Before we can figure out what to play, we need to know the chords that we're playing over. So this piece is in the key of B flat. The first chord is B flat major, that's chord 1. Then we've got G minor, that's chord 6. Then it's back to B flat chord 1, and then we've got F, which is chord 5. Now, it would be useful for you to know a couple of bits of harmonic information, but all of this is in the free PDF workbook for the lesson, as are the bass lines that I'm going to be playing notated in standard notation and tab, and I've also included the backing tracks that I'm using in this lesson as part of that download. Make sure you grab a copy. You'll find the link to that in the description below. So we're in the key of B flat, and the very first thing that you might want to know is the B flat major scale. B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A and B flat. Now, if you can play this 1 octave pattern, that's brilliant. If you can play it over 2 octaves, all the better. And if you can play it down here, that's going to be even more helpful. Now the chords. So the first chord is B flat major. Structure of a major chord is root 3rd and 5th. So from this B flat, we've got B flat the root, D the 3rd and F the 5th. That's the basic pattern for a major chord arpeggio. We can do the same from B flat here at the 8th fret of the D string. We can even play this B flat, D and F. And there's a second pattern. So B flat, D at the 10th fret of the E string, F at the 8th. Same thing from here, and the same thing from down here. Now F major is exactly the same because that's also a major chord. The only thing that's different are the notes. This time we've got F, A, C, or F, A, C, or F, A, C, or F, A, C, or F, A, C, F, A, C. And then we've got G minor. Now the formula for a minor chord is root, flattened 3rd and 5th, and the pattern that we're going to play starts with the first finger. So G the root, B flat, the flattened 3rd at the 6th fret, and D the 5th at the 5th fret of the A string. We can play that same pattern from here, or from G at the 10th fret of the A string. There are other patterns. Now the only other pattern that I'm going to use is this. So I'm playing G at the 10th fret of the A string with my little finger, B flat at the 8th fret of the D string with my second finger, and then D the 5th at the 7th fret of the G string with my first finger. And I'm doing this because I'm going to be playing the majority of the lines in this lesson in this part of the fingerboard. If this seems like a lot of information, don't worry, because it is all in the PDF, so make sure you grab a copy of that. Now we're getting into playing some bass lines, and the most helpful thing that we can know is where to play the root notes of each chord on the fingerboard. So B flat, we can play that at the 6th fret of the E string, or the 8th fret of the D string, or the 1st fret of the A string and the 3rd fret of the G string. G is at the 10th fret of the A string, or the 12th fret of the G string, or the 3rd fret of the E string and the 5th fret of the D string. F, 8th fret of the A string, or 10th fret of the G string, or the 1st fret of the E string and the 3rd fret of the D string. And I'm going to start by approaching each root note from a different note. Now this is going to help us build up a repertoire, and it's these notes that are going to help us play melodic and lyrical bass lines. The first thing that I'm going to do is approach each root note from the 3rd. So B flat, we've got D the 3rd to B flat using this shape, or this shape. G minor, we've got B flat, the flattened 3rd to the root using this shape, or this shape. F, we've got A to F, or to F, and I'm going to play these approach notes now in different places across the fingerboard so that you can hear just how good they sound. Now I'm going to approach each root note from the fifth, and the root and fifth are partners in crime. That two-note pairing is so important to us as bass players, and if you can get them together, it's going to help every single part of your bass playing. So the great thing about this is the shape's exactly the same whether the chord is major or minor. So B flat at the 8th fret of the D string. To play the 5th below, we just move one string down, so that's F. From this same note, B flat, the 5th above is one string up and 2 frets higher. G we've got here at the 10th fret of the A string, the 5th below D is one string down or one string up and 2 frets higher. And similarly with F, 8th fret of the A string, C the 5th is one string down or one string and 2 frets higher. But this is a fretless bass, and we can also slide into notes. So in the case of B flat, we've got the 5th F here at the 1st fret, and we can slide into that root note, or we can slide down. So in the case of F, we've got C here, and we can slide into the root note. So I'm going to play through these for you now. Now I'm going to approach the root note from the root note, or the octave, and the great thing about this is that you can only play this in two directions, either from the root note to the octave or the octave down to the root note. But the other great thing about this is that you can play both notes together, and that's a really big sound. It's also almost like you've got a built-in octaver. But again, because it's the fretless, we could slide, so we can slide from B flat here up to the octave, and similarly we can slide from F down to the F root note here. Now it's the turn of the second, and the second can be a wonderfully melodic note. The easy thing about it is that it's just two notes up from the root note. So we've got B flat, two notes up, we've got C, that's the second. Now we can pluck those notes, or we can slide from the C into the B flat, or we can pull off. Similarly with G, we've got A 2 frets higher, and F, we've got G 2 frets higher. Now I'm going to start combining these notes, and I'm going to put the root, second and third together. I'm going to play a little motif which is second to third to root. So from B flat we've got C the second, D the third and B flat the root. We can play it like this, or we can play C, D to B flat. Over G minor we've got G, we can play A, B flat the flattened third to G the root note, or A, B flat to G, and over F we've got G, A, F, or G, A and F. This time I'm going to bring the fifth back into the equation and I'm going to play second to fifth to root. The nice thing about this is the symmetrical pattern that it creates. So from B flat the root note, we've got C, the second 2 frets higher, down to F the fifth, up to B flat the root. Or we can play from this C up to F the fifth, down to B flat the root. Now it's the turn of the sixth, which is a great note to play over any major chord. I'm going to play sixth to fifth over both the B flat major and the F major chord. And I'm going to play them in 3 different ways. So from B flat, we've got G to F, or we've got B flat to G to F. And we can also play that fifth and sixth below the root note. So if I play B flat here at the 8th fret of the D string, we've got G the 6th at the 10th fret of the A string, and F the 5th at the 8th fret. Similarly with F, we've got F to D and C, or F to D and C, or F to D and C. In this last combination, I'm going to put the second and sixth together, and don't forget everything that I'm playing is in the PDF, so if you haven't already done so, make sure you grab a copy of that. These note combinations will absolutely give you the building blocks to play melodically in any form of bass playing, but I think they're coming to their own in this style of fretless playing, and I hope you agree with me when I say that they certainly capture the lyrical side of Pino's playing. I'm going to put all of these ideas together now and use a few of the different harmonic devices to play some bass lines. There's far too much here for me to go through in any detail, but don't forget everything that I'm playing is in the PDF, so make sure you grab a copy of that. There's a couple of things that I'd like to look at there. The first was in the third pass of the bass line. So I'm playing over B flat, and I played B flat the root, slid into C the second and back into B flat. From there I played this. So I'm playing C the second, hammering on to D the third, F the fifth into B flat the root, and then slid from C the second into D the third, an octave higher. The next was in the fourth pass, and it was this again over B flat. So I started off on D the third, then it was B flat the octave and B flat the root. It's a really simple line, but it sounds nice. From there I played this. So I played up the arpeggio, D the third, F the fifth and A the major 7. That's a really nice sound. Into G, then I played B flat the flattened third, but down here that sounds really good. Back into B flat from D, and then this ascending sixth line, so we've got F to D, G to E flat and A to F. Earlier in the lesson I promised to look at the fretless bass line that I use in some of the opening sequences to my lessons. Now I played that line over 4 years ago, and at the time I picked my bass up, tuned it up, and that was the very first thing that I played. I've not played it since, but it was something like this. So I'm sliding into A at the 14th fret of the G string. From there I'm pulling off onto G at the 12th fret. Then I slide into E at the 14th fret of the D string and then play G at the 12th fret of the G string. Then there's this movement. So you can look at this as two parts. The first is this. So I'm playing D at the 12th fret of the D string, hammering onto E at the 14th, pulling back off onto D, and then sliding into C at the 10th fret. From there we've got D at the 12th fret of the D string, pulling off onto C at the 10th, A at the 12th fret of the A string, pulling off onto G, but all of that is in one movement. You can play that in lots of different ways, that's entirely up to you. From there we've got G sharp at the 11th fret of the A string, then E at the 14th fret of the D string. Now that's an E major chord. G sharp is the third, E is the root, and then we finish off with C sharp, and then I add an open A. That's an A major chord, so C sharp is the third, and A is the root, and that's the whole line. I hope I've given you a taste for the kind of lines that you can play over these chords, and also given you a starting point to play melodic bass lines of your own. If you've enjoyed the lesson, give me a shout out and let me know in the comments. And make sure that you grab the PDF, the link to that is posted below. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.